Welcome back to NFL Predictions. I'm your host, Cooper Bain. On my left,
Gunnar Gillette.
and on my right,
Ansh Bhatia.
So today we're going to be, as you can hear from the title, predictions. So first off, we're going to say who is your prediction for the Super Bowl champion? This one isn't a prediction, but number one pick for fantasy and the predictions for defensive and offensive player of the year in the NFL. So Ansh, I think we're going to start with Super Bowl predictions. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
Kansas City by a landslide. These guys are honestly the best team in the league. Their offense was on fire last season. Mahomes truly proved himself. MVP. I think he's going to be MVP again. Just awesome QB. That arm strength is just unbelievable. I got the Chiefs beating the Saints in a shootout, 51-42 in Super Bowl 54.
So, Gunnar?
Chiefs by a landslide. I don't know about that. I think that the LA Rams are going to win this year, coming out of the NFC. They're just super motivated coming off of that last Super Bowl loss. Jared Goff has a little bit more experience. Everyone has a little bit more experience. They're a young team. As long as there's not a review on pass interference, I think they can win the Super Bowl. But in the AFC, I honestly think the Chargers are big contenders. They beat the Chiefs last year in the regular season. As long as they don't choke in the playoffs, I think they're going to be the AFC champions, but you can't count on them not choking in the playoffs.
So I would kind of like to agree and disagree with both of you. So I do agree with Ansh on the Kansas City Chiefs being one of the best teams in the AFC. I don't think, though, that they would go to the Super Bowl. I also agree with Gunnar as the Chargers being a great team in the AFC. I also don't see them going to the Super Bowl. I think that the Saints are the best team in the National Football League. Not by much, but their depth on every single position can carry them to going to the Super Bowl for the NFC. Now, this might come as a hot take, but I think that the best team in the AFC this season will be none other than the Houston Texans. Now, this might sound crazy, but the Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson, is about to come into his own this season and have an incredible season, record-setting. I think he's going to be the MVP. And they got that new running back yesterday from Cleveland, who was averaging about 6 yards a carry. They have the best wide receiver in the league, DeAndre Hopkins, and their defense is great too with J.J. Watt. I know he's injured, but they've got Jadeveon Clowney. Their defense is great. I think that they're the best team in the AFC. I see the Saints versus the Texans, and I see the Saints coming out on top, 42-38. Moving on to our next topic, fantasy football, number one pick. Gunnar, we'll start with you.
My number one pick in a points per reception league, I would go with Juju, because he's going to be Big Ben's only target really on that Steelers offense. But I would probably go with Kamara in a regular league just because he's going to score so many points because he can run, he can catch, he can pretty much do it all. He could probably throw a pass to himself if he wanted to.
So he says his first pick would either be Juju Smith-Schuster or Alvin Kamara. Ansh?
I have to agree and disagree with that. In a PPR league, I gotta go with Kamara. I mean, the dude, that's the oddest, he's not playing receiver, but the dude actually had more catches than most of the years out of the backfield. He's gonna be a leader in the rushing and receiving game for the Saints, and that's my number one pick. I had Juju previously, but I'm changing my mind. I'm going with my number one pick as Patrick Mahomes. He just has insane arm strength, as I said earlier. Dude just goes touchdown for touchdown for touchdown. He's going to rack up points on your fantasy team.
So, I'm a Saints fan, as you could probably tell. Again, agreeing with both of you, Alvin Kamara would be my number one pick. I think he's the best running back in the league. He's just crazy, and he would be my number one pick for regardless whether PPR or just regular. Alvin Kamara is definitely going to be my number one pick. Now, moving on to our last segment, we're going to talk about defensive and offensive players of the year in the NFL. Ansh, we'll start with you.
Defensive player of the year, I think, although I know all of you guys are going to just go ahead and say Aaron Donald, but I'm going with a dark horse. I mean, this guy is a super underrated DB. I think he's going to swoop up defense player of the year. Eddie Jackson of the Bears. Dude is an interception machine. He's a huge ball hawk. Although Byron Jones as well is a solid DB who I think has a decent shot. I got to go with Eddie Jackson for defensive player of the year. And offensive player of the year, although the MVP isn't usually offensive player of the year, and Patrick Mahomes is my MVP, but offensive player of the year, I have to go with either Hopkins or Antonio Brown. Both of these guys are solid receivers. If Antonio Brown can recover from those frostbitten feet, I think he is going to be very solid this year. I mean, this is a passing league, and they're gonna get the catches and touchdowns they need. I mean, Eddie Jackson and DeAndre Hopkins or Antonio Brown.
All right. I understand where you're coming from. Gunnar?
Like he said, it is a passing league. Patrick Mahomes is going to pass the ball a lot. That gives him a lot of opportunities. I think he's going to be Offensive Player of the Year. He's just insane. He can throw the ball so hard. And he throws it so accurately too. He does just crazy things. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw that highlight last year where he was running towards the sideline on the left, and he couldn't throw it with his right hand because he was going to throw it across his body. So he switched it over to his left hand and completed a pass to Tyreek Hill.
I did see that. Yeah, that's impressive. But think about it. MVPs don't normally win Offensive Player of the Year. They will win MVP, but the Offensive Player of the Year award is going to go to someone else. So I have Mahomes as my MVP, so I gotta go someone else for Offensive Player of the Year. Think about it.
You can win both.
You can, but it's very
and
rare.
you have to be very good, which Patrick Mahomes is.
I have a very, very good season.
But let's let
Theoretically,
Gunnar finish.
you can win both. Realistically, the NFL just doesn't want to do that because they don't want to give one person two different awards, which are both the biggest awards that they can win. MVP is first, and then Offensive Player of the Year is second. And I know on defense, obviously, it would be Aaron Donald, would be your first choice. I mean, he was voted by the players as the best player in the NFL. He's an amazing D tackle. But I'm going to go with someone you probably wouldn't expect, Derwin James of the LA Chargers. He's such a good safety. He can hit super big. He can also intercept passes. He's just amazing, and I think that he is going to be the centerpiece of that Chargers defense this year.
Hot take, man. Very hot take.
Yeah.
But Derwin James, as well, he's a really solid safety, but I gotta go with Eddie Jackson.
Offensively, of course, you've got these quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes, all these other players. But I think that the Offensive Player of the Year should probably be a running back. And I don't think it should be these big names. No, I think it should be someone like Christian McCaffrey. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to have an outstanding season. The Panthers have been struggling with Cam Newton recently, and y'all have both said that it is a passing league, but when you don't have any wide receivers that are that good and your quarterback is starting to struggle, like the Giants, you're going to start handing it off more. Christian McCaffrey already had an incredible season, and as Aunt said, you typically don't see the Offensive Player of the Year winning MVP. I don't see Christian McCaffrey winning MVP. But I see him winning Offensive Player of the Year.
I do not see him winning Offensive Player of the Year. But now that I think about it, a lot of people are going to pick Christian McCaffrey in a PPR fantasy league because the dude I think he was fourth in the league in receptions last season. But a running back. So that was more than Kamara. So a lot of people are going to go with him for a PPR league. But yeah, I don't see him winning Offensive Player of the Year because the Panthers are just too bad to really have anyone.
Okay. For Defensive Player of the Year, I have three options. I could go with Aaron Donald, who's the obvious choice. I could go for Eric Berry of the Chiefs, or I could go for Marshawn Lattimore. Now, all these players are outstanding. Eric Berry is a great safety. Marshawn Lattimore is a great cornerback. And Aaron Donald's probably the best defensive player in the league. However, I think it's going to have to go to Eric Berry. I mean, just his story. From cancer to being one of the best safeties in the league is just incredible. He's able to recover, and he's still one of the best defensive players. I think he wins defensive player.
They traded Eric Berry.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
Anyway, I'm Cooper Bain. This is for Gunnar Gillette and Anch. This is NFL Predictions signing off.